So you're looking for the perfect side dish to serve with your holiday meal? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how to make garlic mashed potatoes. Creamy, delicious, the ultimate comfort food, and the best side dish to serve for any special occasion. Keep watching. If you're new to my channel, I'm Denise Jordan, and I teach traditional homemaking for today's woman. So if you want to learn more about making and keeping a home, subscribe and double tap that little bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Okay, let's make some mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes are one of those dishes that people make all the time. But there's mashed potatoes and then there are mashed potatoes. When you zhuzh them up with a little bit of garlic, a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, and a whole lot of butter. Now, if you're trying to be health conscious, you wouldn't want to make this particular recipe often, but every now and then for a special occasion, you can zhuzh it up and have the ultimate in a mashed potato dish, creamy garlic mashed potatoes. So let me show you what you're going to need to make this dish. First of all, you're going to need about 2 pounds of potatoes, and I'm just making enough mashed potatoes for 4. If you want to make a larger portion, then of course you're going to need more potatoes. And many people will tell you that the best potatoes to use for mashed potatoes are Yukon Gold, and I'm not going to dispute that. But I'm just using just plain old russet potatoes because that's what I usually have at home. I buy a 5-pound or 10-pound bag of potatoes and I use it for a variety of different dishes. And we're going to use plain old russet potatoes from Idaho today. And the other thing about the potatoes is that you will need to wash them because potatoes are kind of dirty when you get them out of the bag. So you're going to wash them up in the sink, give them a good scrub. So 2 pounds of potatoes. I'm also going to add about a ½ cup of shredded Parmesan cheese. And I got this cheese shredded fresh at the deli. This is going to just zhuzh it up a little bit more. We're going to need about 3/4 to a cup of heavy cream. 2 sticks of unsalted butter. And you want to make sure it's unsalted because you're going to add quite a bit of salt to the water. So unsalted butter. And of course, you're going to need some garlic. And I've got some fresh peeled garlic. I've got quite a bit of it and I need to use it up. So one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to make some garlic olive oil, which I'm going to use in the mashed potatoes, but I can also use it later when I'm cooking other things. Which means I'm going to need a little bit of olive oil. So I'm probably going to use about a cup to a cup and a half of olive oil to make the garlic olive oil. And then of course a little salt, and I always use Morton because of course when it rains it pours. Is there any other kind of salt to buy? A little bit of black pepper and I will twist it out and crack it. And when I make my garlic oil, in addition to putting the oil and the garlic in the pot, I'm also going to add some peppercorns just to zhuzh that up just a little bit. So let's get it started. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my garlic olive oil started. So I'm going to use about a cup and a half of olive oil into this pot, black peppercorns, and about a ½ cup of garlic, but I'm using all the garlic that's left in here because I've had this for a while and I need to use it up. So now I'll get this on the cooktop and then I'll just let it cook for a while. I want the garlic to cook until they're soft. So I'm going to let that do its thing and I'm going to get started washing those very grubby potatoes. You can see the garlic just cooking away. I'm going to get this garlic strained out. And the peppers. Now I'll set that aside. Now I'm going to get my potatoes peeled, and I'm going to put them in a bowl of cool water. And no, I don't use a potato peeler. I've never learned how to use one of those. I always just use a paring knife. And you set them in a bowl of water once you peel them so they don't turn brown. And in case you wonder, why do I bother to wash them since I'm going to peel them anyway? Well, there's a lot of dirt on the skin, and when I peel them, then my hands will be in contact with the meat of the potato, and I don't want to get all that dirt on the meat of the potato, even though I'm going to wash the potatoes after I'm done. And then I'll use the tip of my knife to get out any impurities that I see. Now we're going to go ahead and get these potatoes cut to get them ready to boil. So probably the hardest part for this whole meal was just getting the potatoes peeled. And I just quarter them and then just give them rough cuts. And I try to cut them about equal sizes. So they cook evenly. And then we'll cover them with water and bring them to a boil, and we'll cook them until they are tender. We don't want them mushy, but we do want them tender. And then we'll add a little salt to the water. I was watching a video earlier, and the guy said it should taste like ocean water, so it should be pretty salty. And we're going to cook these potatoes until they're fork tender, and I'll show you what that means in just a little bit. Now that the potatoes are boiling, I'm going to get my butter and cream mixture put together. And I'm using 1.5 sticks of butter, which is about 12 tablespoons, because I'm going to add a little bit of our garlic olive oil. And as soon as the butter is all melted, I'm going to add in my garlic. I'm going to squeeze in some garlic into the butter. And this is unsalted butter. As you can see, I salted the water for the potatoes quite heavily. I wanted it to taste like the ocean, but remember, I'm going to be pouring that water off. But that was my opportunity to season the potatoes. It'll absorb some of that salt. Now I'm going to add my garlic. Just going to press that in. Now I'm just going to stir that in and let that garlic cook off just a little bit. And my potatoes are bubbling away, so they should be about fork tender now. Now I'm going to add just a touch of my olive oil, my garlic olive oil that I put together. That'll just add a little bit more garlicky flavor. And I'm going to add my cream. Now if you want to try to cut the fat, you can use milk instead of cream, but when I'm making mashed potatoes and I really want to be decadent, I use cream. Starting to bubble around those edges, and I think it's about time to turn the heat off. Now I'm going to set this off the heat, and I'll get ready to get my potatoes out of the pot. Now it took about 20-25 minutes for these potatoes to boil, but now they're fork tender and they're ready to come out of the pot. So I will strain them at the stove, and then I'll put them back in the pot, and then I will add my butter and cream mixture. Well, let me just show you. Look at that. They're just fork tender. See that? So they're ready for mashing. See how easily they're breaking apart? And you don't want to cook them too long because you don't want them to get mushy. So we'll take these off of the stove and go drain them. shake the water out. Now we'll put these back into the pot. Now we'll take our potato masher and mash up these potatoes. And I've got an old-fashioned potato masher. You can use your wire whisk, but I like doing it the old school way. And then once they're good and mashed, I will add my cream and butter mixture. And remember, we heated up the cream and the butter because we don't want to add cold milk or cold cream to hot potatoes. Okay, so let's start adding some of this in. And it's getting so creamy already. I think now might be time to switch to my wire whisk. I've gotten them good and mashed, and now as I add my cream and butter, and I'm adding it in portions, not just all at once, because it may turn out that you don't need it all. Yeah, I probably don't need all of that. They're getting nice and creamy. Maybe I will add the rest. There's just a little bit left because it will stiffen up a little bit while they're sitting. And I will also add a little bit of salt. I've got about a tablespoon of salt in here, and we'll just see how much it takes. I'm also going to add some cracked black pepper. And if you don't want black pepper specks in there, you could use white pepper, but it doesn't bother me. And then I'm also going to add my Parmesan cheese. So let's get that in. And this is just looking so good and smelling amazing. You can smell that garlic aroma. So now let's get it plated up and we'll give it a taste. Okay, let's get this into a bowl for serving. And I tell you what, your guests are going to love these mashed potatoes. They are so creamy. So delicious. And I have just the right amount of salt in them for my family. So make sure you salt them to taste for your family. So, and I'm just kind of making some little trenches around, you know, just kind of making it kind of pretty. And then I'm going to wipe the bowl off just a little bit around the edge, because remember, you're serving this for a special occasion and you want your guests to think, man, look at those mashed potatoes. So now that I've got this part done, I'm going to just trickle just a little bit of butter over the top. So I melted some butter and I'll just pour it over the top. So you've got the butter running into the little rivulets and the little circulets there. And it looks absolutely amazing. These mashed potatoes are amazing. They're nice and buttery. They've got that garlic flavor, and they've got just a hint of salt. They're amazing. My husband is going to love these, and your family will too. Now, do I make these garlic mashed potatoes the ultimate comfort food, the ultimate side dish often? No, I tend to save this dish for special occasions. And one such occasion that's coming up is Valentine's Day, and I'm going to serve these garlic mashed potatoes with my chicken parmesan on a Valentine's Day along with my chocolate mousse. So be sure and check out that video. I'll link it below so that you can check it out. And if you're into comfort foods, you might want to check out my macaroni and cheese playlist. I have got 3 of the best mac and cheese recipes that you ever want to see. I'll link them below and with an iCard above as well. And just so you know, I've raised 3 children and I've managed a home for more than 45 years. So if you want to learn more about making and keeping a home, cooking and cleaning and laundry, subscribe. I would love to have you as a member of the TNT community. In the meantime, this is Denise Jordan saying goodbye. I will see you next time.